Hey there, Wargamers, Justin here, Painter, and today, hey there, Wargamers, Justin here, Painter, and today, we're going to check out some Battletech. I'd like to welcome you guys back to the channel. Thank you for tuning in today. If you are new here, please Alpha Strike that like and subscribe button. And if you are a returning viewer, thank you so much for having my back. I appreciate you being an awesome lance mate, star mate, whatever the case may be for you. Appreciate you being here to help support what I do. That said, today we're going to get into checking out the Star League Command Lance that was sent over to me from Bobby from Fortress Miniatures and Games. So with that being said, let's go ahead and flip it around here and we'll start checking out what's in this box. All right, guys, so you have to bear with me today. You can see a little bit of the camera stand. I'm filming at work in a different spot because there's construction going on, and I wanted to get some content filmed while I had some free time. So that said, let's get into checking out the new Star League Command Lance box that Catalyst put out. Now, I guess when I zoom in, the problems I mentioned with the stand here aren't an issue, but I wanted to get into this box to show you guys today. So as usual, I start out by showing you the outside of the box, and this one's cool because it's got the 40th anniversary stamp, Star League stamp there as well, which makes sense with the name of the box, but I feel like they're going to be doing pushes for 40th anniversary things because 40th anniversary. I also have the Game Armor Combat and Beginner Box 40th anniversary releases as well, which are mostly cover changes, a few things inside that'll change, but I'll talk about that in another video, but they're also using this too. So checking out the box. Kind of standard fare for what you guys are used to, and the big selling point for this one that I think most people are interested in is the painted Orion. So we'll get into the minis, we'll check those out, check out the cards, and give you guys a pretty good idea of what to expect when you get this box. Now, full disclosure, I didn't pay for this one. Bobby from Fortress Miniatures and Games, big shout out to Bobby, sent me this for the channel. So that is, I'm not actually sure what the MSRP was on it. I'm assuming, I think it was 40. I know it was $5 more than what we would normally be paying, so I think it's 40. It might have been 35, but I think 40. As I do with all the other boxes, we check the artwork in the back, and this is really neat. That Atlas is really cool, kind of that old school Atlas vibe, even though the Atlas in the box is not that variant. And then a really sweet Orion back there. I really do wish these were card inserts that you could pull out, and maybe when you flip them, so it's a cool like print, and then on the other side maybe it's a description of the faction or the era, or a little blurb about what you're getting, a story about the cards or about the pilots on the cards, something like that would be really, really neat. Mostly because, as I mentioned before, you end up tossing these boxes and this cool artwork goes to waste, and a lot of people who buy this stuff, they would save those prints. Now, I'm aware you can cut the box. I've had people say that. That's true too, but I think for minimal extra investment, you could have this as an insert that is a little nicer than just cutting the box, and then again, you could flip it and have some cool flavor text in the back, or maybe even a scenario or some optional rules, something like that. Not a big deal, but would be an extra value, especially considering we're paying more for this box because it's got a pre-painted model in it, and some of you may or may not be jazzed about that painted model. So before we get into the minis, we're going to check out the cards, which we always do. If you just want to see minis, feel free to skip ahead. So for our unit cards, starting off, we've got, let's see, 4. Let's go ahead and just get the pilots, and ooh, there's 2 pilots for the Orion. Looks like there's 2 for the Atlas. Very cool. We've got, oh, was there 3 Atlas? 3 Atlas cards. All right. 1 Phoenix Hawk and 1 Thunderhawk. All right. So we'll go through, as we always do, we'll check out the unit cards, and then we'll check out the pilot cards as we go. So here we've got the Alexander Kinsky Orion coming in at 65 points. Size 3, TMM1, 8-inch move. This one's listed as skill 1, so this one's a specific piloted version. I wonder if he's got abilities on the back. He doesn't. All right, so it's not like the Legends box. 342 for damage, 65 points. He's got 8 pips of armor and 6 pips of structure. Case, flak 1, indirect fire 1. These aren't going to come up that much. Case is useful, indirect fire is meh. Flak, yeah, it just depends on what you're using. I would be curious if this lines up with the master unit list at skill 1 at 65 points. Short of me actually looking that up, I don't know. I feel like there's probably some better options at this point total. Maybe not the exact skill, but you're probably not running the actual specific card anyway. But that is there. And then obviously on the side, you've got the era in which it's displayed. So this one is for the Oh shit, I don't even remember which one that is, because we've got, I think that one's Succession War, Clan Invasion, Civil War, Jihad, Dark Age, Il Clan. I guess this is, was it Star League era? Something like that? So let's flip over the card here. So here's another named guy. We've got Theodore Kurita, size 3, team M1, movement 8, skill 4. So pretty standard fare there. The eras in which he'd be operating. 3/3/1 for damage. OV1, indirect fire 1, so not paying extra points for stuff you're not going to use. 8 armor, 6 structure. I dig that. Yeah, so I guess going from 39 to 65, you could probably see where the going to skill 1 ups the points. When we're comparing this to my bog standard unit, the Mad Dog that I like, that's a 3/3/3 for like 33 points. This one's a 3/3/1 for 6 points more, but he's got a nice chunk more life. But you're sacrificing some movement and some team M, so a little bit of a trade-off there. But not terrible. Yeah, and also the Orion looks cool. I think the only major problem I would have with the particular Orion in this box is that it is pre-colored or pre-painted. So if you bought this box and you specifically wanted this mini and configuration to look like him, you'd have to strip and paint or paint over, and that's an inconvenience. So we'll check out the unit cards here, and you guys can pause to read them at your leisure. So we've got Alexander Kinsky. And also, these are copyright 2023, I mean, this is probably obvious that this stuff has been in production, but just came out, and they're copyrighted for last year, so I would be curious, like, what the release schedule has been for CGL, and what is the actual release schedule? Like, were these supposed to be slated earlier, and they got pushed back, or what? That's a small thing, and I assume a lot of things their dates are further out than what the copyrights are, but I'd be curious if there's stuff that, if there's some things that have been scheduled for release that we didn't get when they initially had wanted to, even though we didn't know, because I guess we wouldn't know. Aspiring Commander, Kinsky may grant the ability to reroll a failed attack, roll 4 times per scenario. Oh, that's not terrible. That's actually pretty reasonable. I got something like that in my Nova packet for one of the scenarios. Pilots or players are able to do that. Tactical Genius, select a commander, your force. If Kinsky is your force, commander, you may reroll your initiative. Okay, also not terrible. So it's pretty tame compared to some of the other pilot cards. You get Theodore Kurita. Like I said, pause if you need time to read. And there you go. So that is the Orion. Well, let's go check out, we'll save the Atlas maybe for last because it's got 3 pilots. Let's check out this Phoenix Hawk Special. So this is the 1B Special, 28 points, usable in all eras, which is cool. 12J, Team M2, size 2, 4 life, 2 armor, case ECM 222, and a 1 OB. I mean, the model looks cool compared to the standard that I would be comparing it to, the 333 for 33. Team M's the same. This one's got jump, a little bit more movement, a little less damage, a little less life, and it's got ECM, so it might be a little bit of a wash. For the novelty of it and the jump mobility and so forth, may not be terrible with the TMM, though he feels a little fragile. I feel like there's other Phoenix Hawks with more HP, but again, without picking up the master unit list, I'm not going to be able to deduce that immediately off the top of my head. And there's the 1C Special, 31 points. Actually, this one's got 1 more pip of life, and only 3 more, only costs 3 more. Team M2, 12J, 321 for damage, OB1, ECM in case. So you actually go up 1 on your short range damage, and you're basically paying 3 points for 1 extra pip of life, also usable in all eras. So probably lean towards this one just a smidge, because if you're jumping, you're either jumping to not die or jumping to get behind somebody for that alpha strike on the rear to maximize damage. And if you're doing that, then you've got 3, which is 1 more than the other guy, plus the rear shot. So I feel like that makes this guy a little bit more of an edge case, but it is only a 3-point difference. For the pilot cards here, we've got Gu Minyan. I'm sorry, I'm screwed that one all up. And then Gu Garathan. Is this like him is it like a relative? Huh. I was getting ready to ask if that's like a rank, but I don't know. So there you go for that one. For the Thunderhawk, this is the 7X variant, coming at 51 points, usable in all eras, which is nice. Team M1, movement 6, size 4, so this is a assault mech. 555 for damage, OV2, he's got 4, 8, 10 armor, 4 structure. I feel like there's some atlases out there for similar damage, similar points, so this one falls kind of right in line with those. I like that he's pretty beefy, and not a lot, not a lot if there are no specials here, so nothing you have to worry about for keeping track of, and you're not paying points for something you're not going to use. So not terrible. Might be some other things that do things better for you, but like there's a lot of damage for the points. We've got the 7S, who is 1 point more. You're immediately right off the gate getting 1 more medium range damage. Your TMM movement and all that stuff's the same. So you got 565 versus 555. You lose the OV, so you're dropping OV2 for +1 at medium, which could be a trade-off, considering you're going to be at medium range in most games of Alpha Strike probably the majority of the time. So you're rolling that 1 extra dice more frequently, whereas this guy, to hit the same total, would have to be overheating, and then he's combat less effective every few turns when he does that. So this one had 10 armor, 4 structure. This one has 15 armor, 5 structure. That's not bad. Did I just read that wrong? So that's 5, 10, 5. No, sorry, 10 armor, 5 structure. I don't know why I was getting 15. I think I counted all the pips there. So you're paying 1 point more, losing OV, gaining 1 medium, and gaining 1 pip of life. So, you know, that one's kind of a wash depending on what you might want to do with it. And obviously you've got access to master unit lists, so you can field whatever you would like. But right out of the box, these are the cards we've got. For the pilot, we've got Massoui, Mine. I feel like that might be French or something. Gunnery 3, piloting 5. So big guy, easy to knock over, I suppose. That's kind of funny. House Cameron. I feel like this is like an old school guy. I feel like I should know that name. I feel like Texas mentioned that before. And then we've got Torov, Mangan, House America. There we go. I could see, and also well, it says it there too, but I happen to see it in the background. So 4/4, and there's his stuff as well. And considering this one says House Cameron, but has the Star League thing there, I don't know the lore super well on lots of things, but is that the house where the guy like betrayed him? Is that why I'm remembering that? Someone in the comments who's a OG grog for BT will know and probably help me out. Going into the last of the cards here, we've got Nicholas Kinsky and his Atlas 2. This one is usable in the Succession Wars. Pretty interesting. Team of 1, 6 moves, skill 2, 72 points. Dear God. 4/4 for damage, 2 OV. We've got 10 life and 8 structure, I think. We got case, flak, indirect fire. So kind of similar to that Orion we were looking at. Some of these aren't going to get used. The case is nice. 72 points, skill 2. I don't know. This is one of those like having to look at the MUL to compare to stuff, but it is an Atlas. It's got a lot of life and dishing out a decent chunk of damage. I'd say decent average. You have to OV to really like push it, but you do have some. Let's see what we got on the other side. Devlin Stone. So we'll get into why that's exciting for me in a moment. 1 Team M, 6 move, skill 2, 77 points. Jihad and Dark Age era. 5/5/4 for damage, no overheats. You sacrifice the OV to gain more consistent damage. Less internal structure, but it's a 10 armor, 5 structure, 15 total life. I believe that's Angel ACM, AMS, Case 2, Flak, Indirect Fire. The Flak and the IF are less likely to come up. AMS 100% probably will. Case may be helpful. And then the ECM might be helpful as well. So the reason this is really exciting for me is in the lore, my character is Justin Cloud Hall, and he helped found the Cheetah's Mercenary Company, and this is the mech that he's currently cruising around in the lore. So that is pretty neat that I've actually gotten the model for it. I bought a metal Atlas for my Cheetahs to paint up for my guy, but now that we've got a plastic, I might just shift that to something else. For pilot cards here, we have got Nicholas Kinsky as a 2/2. This is a Clan Wolf one. Interesting. I guess that, that makes sense. Sure. Devlin Stone, Republic of the Sphere, a 2/1. Interesting that they've got him as a better pilot than Kinsky. Same gunnery. Interesting. And then Aaron Chevalier, I don't know. Chevrolet, 1-3, so worse pilot, better gunner for Star League. So that's pretty interesting. I think this is the first time I think I've seen where we've gotten 4 pilot cards for one guy, so that's pretty interesting. So nice little pilot card pack that adds a smidge of value if you care about the pilot cards. Most of you probably don't care that much, but they're there if you want them. That said, let's go ahead and get into the minis. So we're going to start out with the Thunderhawk. Get a little zoomage in here so we can check some things out. And I'm seeing a little bit of glossiness here. I think that's probably just some of the glue running over, but what we're looking for is kind of mold lines and such. See how we feel about this. And I feel like there's a little bit here. We're losing a little detail. There should be like a panel line here, but it's on the back of the model, so not the end of the world. But in general, I feel like there's some areas here that aren't super duper great. Also not the end of the world. I feel like they've hid the mold lines pretty well in this guy, or maybe it's because he's rounded that it's easier to hide them, but not too bad relative to some of the other things I've seen. I feel like they've definitely attempted to hide them better or just got better with their molds. So that is the Thunderhawk. I'll check out the Phoenix Hawk here. And yeah, so that's a pretty gnarly one right there. Is that glue? Yep, so mold line there. Barrel's a little wonky. It looks like the same barrel. Is that the gun right off the Shadowhawk, guys? I don't have one in front of me to check it, but it looks very similar to the Shadowhawks on a Phoenix Hawk. Also feels a little bit weird that this is like a jet intake. This is, hand wavy them here for the fluff, because these aren't real. They aren't meant to actually work. But you have your jet intake here for his jump jets, and then the top of this one's just been cut off with a gun jammed in it. It's like, well, how does your jump jet work if the intake isn't there? And if we say, oh, it doesn't need it, well, then why did this one have one? You know what I mean? So like, that might have been cooler if it was set down into the chest so that it didn't look like it was interfering with that. Again, I don't know all the fluff on the design of it. It just seems to me that if the intake here was what was helping your jump jets function here, removing it here would interfere with the functionality here. And if you didn't need this here for this functionality, then why was it there at all? That's just a small thing. We can hand wave it because these are Stompy robots that aren't real. But for some people that makes sense. So I definitely see a little bit of mold line cleanup we're gonna have to do, but not terrible, I feel. And I believe this one comes with a separate bit for his gun in a little baggie. So I'm not sure why they did that. I guess maybe for assembly, but like these all come as parts anyway at the factory, and they're gluing them together. So like I'm not sure why they would leave this separate versus just gluing it on like they glued everything else. If we're gonna leave that off, you could just give us the parts separated so we can clean them and glue them ourselves. That seems a little weird to me. I'm not sure. I can't actually deduce why that was left off. It's fine. But again, all these parts, so the 2 legs, 2 arms, backpack, or jump jet parts, the center torso, and then the gun, everything else was glued but this. I just don't know why. I get why the jump jet pieces they give you for some stuff aren't glued on. I get that. You also usually have 2 different base options, but I'm not sure why that gun was left off. Not the end of the world, but kind of curious to me why they did that. I don't know. Back to the box with this bro. Let's go ahead and check out this Atlas 2, which I am excited about. Let's zoom out just a smidge. There we go. Take a peek. And some of the stuff I'm seeing from mold lines is kind of in areas that you won't really see. A little bit here, which we're used to seeing them on tops of stuff. But yeah, so one of the benefits of the plastic one is dealing with some of the metals is a pain in the butt. And maybe the mold line cleanup on this one is not nearly as bad as maybe the actual assembly irritants or irritations with the metal. So not bad, all in all, in my opinion. Looks pretty crisp. Details are nice. The LRM slots here look deep and detailable. That's some of those can be a little shallow in some of the models, so it's nice to see that. And yeah, I feel like some of these mold lines, they're in areas where it's like right on the edge, so if you missed it, not the end of the world, because you're probably edge highlighting anyway, but if you clean that up, no big deal. So yeah, I feel like that one, mold design, probably good. Also the antenna area here, looks like they're kind of dimpled, so it gives you, especially if you want to drill in, you've already got a hole that your bit can go straight into and get you a little bit more depth if you want to put like a metal piece in there. But that's a nice little feature too, and I hope they continue to do stuff like that, so it encourages people to put the little extra details on there, which it makes it a little less intimidating when there's actually a slot already on. So I'm definitely digging that one, but I'm a little biased as well because my dude's piloting it. And for the last bro, we have the painted Orion, and it is got these little spiral tabs holding it in because they don't want it flying around because it might hurt the paint job, but I honestly can't imagine it would have done that much damage to it. So, but let's check out the paint job on the Orion. And this time we'll get a little tighter, and I'll try to keep it in frame. So let's take a peek. What I'm kind of looking for is like mold line stuff. And take kind of a look at it. All right, so I feel like I'm seeing a little bit of some mold line stuff, not the end of the world. Yeah. Okay, so sculpt seems fine. Paint job seems acceptable. We got the little decal on there. It looks like they did a basic color. I wonder if the plastic was actually a colored plastic. I would imagine that's what I would do if I was trying to save time. Do the plastic injection for this guy with colored pellets or whatever to get him to the green state. Then you hand paint the gray, which is very little bits of it, the yellow, whatever, hit it with what looks like probably some form of an oil wash. You can see some residue in here, or an enamel wash, something like that they can just quickly wipe off. You see a little sheen here, so it's either glue or where it didn't get matted down, something like that. And then it's got decals, which look like them. I don't know what kind of decals they did for that. It's a little different than what we have access to here, I think. But I feel like that would probably be the fastest way to do it, short of pulling this apart. I can't tell you on the plastic. It looks good enough for a game piece. I think you're paying, I believe it's $5 more for the box to get this painted guy. Is this a $5 paint job? I think that's fine. This is where my opinions on this box will be a little bit critical, and hear me out. When we were looking at these with this guy, if you wanted this to be the Kurita mech, and like a lot of these mechs have their specific plastic parts and stuff, so if you want this variant with this gun and that cannon, this one, this specific model to represent that guy, because this is the variant you want, for you to get the Kurita guy now, you have to strip that and repaint it, or airbrush over it and repaint it. Either way, you're repainting it. You paid $5 more for this box for a guy that you don't want. You want the model, you don't want the paint job, but you paid for that paint job, right? Additionally, if you are okay with this paint job and you want these guys to match, now you're trying to match that. So good luck making it look specifically like that. Yours are either going to look the same, which is unlikely, or probably better. And then if you want your stuff to match, you're probably going to end up wanting to repaint that because it doesn't look the same. It looks different. So again, you paid $5 for a thing that you're going to struggle to completely match. For other people who or push more advanced painting techniques, they paid $5 more for a box that they are then going to strip this guy and paint this all to match in whatever configuration or variants that they want. So you paid $5 more to have more work to do. So we went back and forth in the CSO private forum about this when this first got announced, and we were given feedback. And I think the unanimous opinion was that this is not a terrible idea, but the execution was poor. I think at 35, which is it 35 or 40, something like that. So $5 more than the normal force packs. For paying $5 more for the painted guy, fine. I think most people would probably went ahead and paid $20 total more, so an extra $15 if all of them were painted the same. And then if you had a Star League Command Lance that was the premium, pre-painted, if that's what you want to call it, and it costs the premium value. And then you have the unpainted version that is 2 SKUs But that would give people who want the painted one, they could get it. All these guys would match. And if people want to paint them something different, they get the ones where they're all unpainted and they pay the slightly lower price, or should be the lower price, over this one. So you get the options. This is a half measure and it just doesn't do everything right. You get this one guy, and then if you don't want that paint scheme, you got to strip it and repaint it, which means you paid money to actually do more work. If you do want these guys in a match, now you got to match this guy, and good luck making them look specifically like him, at which point, if you want them to match specifically, you probably would have just painted them all anyway. So I feel like there should have been an A and a B variant of this box. A, pre-painted, B, unpainted for the artist, and I think that would have been better. I think at straight up value, paying $5 more for this guy, it looks like a $5 reasonable paint job. It's not terrible. Especially if you go in and you base it yourself, it's going to look good. I just feel like at the uptick in value they put into adding this guy for painting, these guys being painted would have made this a more valuable box. So let's say it's $40. If it had cost $5 per model to paint it, let's call it $55. I still think this sells at $55 pre-colored, honestly. And then you could drop it back down to the normal price you've been charging for Lances, which I think is $35 for the non-colored one. And I don't think there's a huge amount of SKU bloat unless they're really trying to put out lots of these things. But I think that would have been a better bet. Instead, they split the difference, put it in the middle, so to speak. And now you have something that if you just want that one guy that's painted, you're going to paint these as something else, cool. But if you are going for Star League, it's just going to be a little bit annoying. And I'm not trying to be overly critical. I'm just giving my honest assessment of what I think this product could have been. I also think that with the quality of the pre-colored they have on this, if they had a Legends box A and B, so you could get a pre-colored variant to this quality, good. They'd sell a bunch of that, I think. And then an unpainted one for everyone who wants to paint them up the way that they want, or with their higher skill, or if they just want to paint because they enjoy the hobby. So yeah, do I think that the value here is good? I think it's fine. I just think that this guy, it adds a little bit, but I feel like there's a lot to be desired for anyone who wants to paint their forces to match. So, but I think it was like $40 at that price point. You're paying $10 a model. It's hard to beat in relation to other things on the market that you could be playing. For me, would I have bought it if Bobby hadn't given it to me? Yes, because I buy all the things. And am I going to actually end up repainting that guy if I did Star League myself? Probably yes as well. So I would have overpaid for something that I'm just going to paint over. But in this particular case, because I don't want to end on just negative stuff, having this guy as unpainted is good because I will paint that guy up to be the Phantom. So there is that silver lining. So yeah. I did like that they came with a couple extra pilot cards for the Orion and the Atlas. That was cool. And I think that's going to wrap up pretty much my view on this. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Did you pick this one up? What did you think? What did you think of the paint scheme? Would you have preferred to have paid a little bit more to get a full Lance of painted? Would you have liked to have bought a Lance of all unpainted and paid less money to not include this? Where do you land? What are your thoughts? As always, hope you guys enjoyed. Keep painting your dice, keep rolling dice, keep painting your models, and I will catch you guys next time. If you made it this far, you're probably a viewer that already hits that like button when you see a video come up. You're probably already a subscriber, and you probably jump into the comments down below to help support the channel, to help support that algorithm. But if you're looking for some other ways to help support the channel too, make sure you check the description down below. Maybe you want to pick up some paints from Monument Hobbies. That's my paint of choice. The Pro Acrylic line is chef's kiss, good stuff. Maybe you want to check out some of the offerings from Death Designs, where I work in my day job. We got plenty of 3D printed products, as well as MDF terrain, some of the stuff that I have designed myself and we play with here on the channel. And if you're looking to bolster your Battletech ranks, miniatures, and offerings, make sure you check out Bobby from Fortress Miniatures and Games. He's one of the main supporters of the channel as well, and supporting any of these companies helps support what I do and helps to ensure that I can continue to bring content to all of you. If you want to become a super supporter, I highly recommend you guys check out the Patreon. You guys get that extra little edge to help push more content out, and I really do appreciate that. And my ultimate goal on the channel is to continue to be able to not only put out the content we have now, but to get to a point where you can put out more content later, whether that be battle reports or painting tutorials or just more rambles, anything at all. I'd like to be doing more content for you. This is something that I enjoy. I like being able to cast a light into the darkness to bring a little bit of hobby positivity to all of you and make you feel good, and also enjoy playing games myself. As we do the final sign off here though, I do want to go ahead and switch on over and do the scroll of awesome to showcase all the Patreon supporters, the super supporters of the channel, to give them some recognition for helping support what I do. Thank you guys so much, and I will catch you guys next time.